Talk less.
What?
Smile more.
Little known fact, when Leslie Odom Jr. sang that line in the hit Broadway musical Hamilton, he was actually talking to Quentin Tarantino, who was then inspired to write the character of Cliff Booth in his next film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm not shitting you. That's actually how it happened. Look it up. Quentin was the one who filmed this right after the show.
We, sir, we are the diverse America who are alarmed and anxious that your new administration will not protect us.
Cliff is Rick Dalton's stuntman, the heavy, the carrier of Rick's load.
Yeah, it's about right.
Even though Hollywood is pushing 3 hours, not much happens. And besides Margot Robbie, who got paid to dance and show her tootsies, Brad Pitt's Hollywood beer slinger perhaps does the least of any significant character in any mainstream film.
You know, while I was doing the dishes,
He drives Rick to set, fixes his aerial, remembers how he beat the shit out of Bruce Lee that one time, drives around LA, feeds his dog, flirts with a teenage drifter, picks up that same teenage drifter, visits an old movie set, talks to an old friend, punches a guy in the face. And that's pretty much it. For the first 2 hours, we basically just watch Cliff go about his day. And yet it's wonderfully soothing and entertaining. Now don't worry, we are absolutely going to talk about the money shot scene of the film. Just you be patient, my little chicken runs.
Oh.
So what makes watching Cliff carry out his daily chores so enthralling? Well, I know one big reason why. 8 letters, 2 words. Say them and you may crap your pants. It's Brad Pitt is a bona fide movie star. Man's aged like fine wine, and so is his acting. Originally a frantic, unpredictable presence that gave movies like Thelma and Louise, 12 Monkeys, and Fight Club an undeniable energy, now blossomed into a smart, sophisticated, and surprisingly subtle actor capable of some real range. Yes, this is all footage from Ad Astra. Go watch Ad Astra, shut this video off right now, and go watch Ad Astra. Please. I don't think it can be overstated just how important a guy like Pitt is to a role like this. Characters like the Joker and Hannibal Lecter benefited from reduced screen time, allowing the writers and actors to have a lot of fun and craft some really iconic and compelling performances. We also saw what happens when you give the Joker and Hannibal more screen time with less than stellar writing, so this shit ain't easy. Casting Brad Pitt, a man whose natural charisma alone could power half of New York over winter, is the basis for which you can add as many layers of character as you want. He's a stuntman? Great. He's a loner? Awesome. Possibly killed his fucking wife? Don't even care because look how damn fine he looks. Tarantino knew he needed someone with a license to stun, and there's not many better than this guy. But charisma alone does not a great role make. Just ask Tom Cruise.
This is the guy.
I'm the guy. I'm the guy.
So let's talk about the script. I don't think it would shock anyone's grandma, or even Big Shaq,
Smoke trees.
that Tarantino can write a mean script. Pulp Fiction, Inglourious Basterds, Django Unchained, all absolute powerhouses when it comes to precise structure and eargasming dialogue.
Does he look like a bitch?
While Hollywood has its fair share of witty banter,
So help me get into Italian movies. Well, what's the problem? I gotta do fucking Italian goddamn movies. That's a fucking.
it's definitely a step back, not quality-wise, but like when you feel like you're so far ahead in Mario Kart that you lean back and enjoy the ride to victory, you know what I mean? Gaming channel coming soon. Cliff really personifies this whole approach, and like Big Quentin learned from his trip to Hamilton, Cliff doesn't talk a whole lot, but he's got that license to smile. You can see a lot of similarities in Cliff and a character like the man with no name from Sergio Leone's Dollar Trilogy. Cliff Booth is a man content to drift and drive through life, and if you engage with him, then you best be ready to get yoked into the side of Zoe Bell's car. The beauty of having a character speak rarely, or only when called for, is that their words are automatically given more power. Eastwood saying there's 2 kinds of men in the world feels less like an opinion and more like he's read the sacred scripture and he's passing the knowledge on to us mere mortals.
You dig.
This means Cliff being thoughtful, funny, and just plain wholesome
Figured we would. I got a 6-pack in the back. Thought we'd order pizza.
carries so much more weight because he doesn't share how he's feeling all the time. Unlike Rick. So what do we learn about Cliff throughout the film? Well, there's the obvious ones like he's possibly a murderer. Definitely a murderer by the end of the film. He's an out-of-work stuntman who's basically Rick's babysitter, and he lives behind a drive-in cinema with his dog. But it's the little things that really add up. Like, is he putting hot sauce in his cocktail? And dipping a celery stick in it? I don't know what that says about him, but it's weird, and the fact that he's enjoying it without shame is super attractive. He's a good-looking dude for a stuntman,
That's what they tell me.
and he doesn't let that inflate his ego. Maybe you could consider his flirtatious banter with the Manson girl as ego stroking, but the guy clearly knows the boundaries, which start and end with showing of legal age documentation.
You got some ID, like a driver's license or something?
Even his fight with Bruce Lee is more about taking a big ego down than flattering himself. Plus, he just likes to have a little bit of fun.
He barely touched me.
I think that dent in the car says something different.
Oh my God!
He basically Rick's therapist as well, telling him the goddamn Italian movies.
Does not sound like the fate worse than death that you seem to think it is.
He's a good friend. He's not just on Dalton's payroll. You get the sense that Cliff's been there for a long time and he knows Rick better than anyone, possibly even himself.
You're Rick fucking Dalton. Don't you forget it.
Best friendship since Buzz and Woody, Riggs and Murtaugh, and Chris Nolan and Time. If we're talking about the little things, then Cliff's trailer is a pool of details. Firstly, it's a trailer outside of LA. The man's clearly not made of money, but he also doesn't make any effort to clean it. This is his space. He doesn't have people over. There's more dog food in his cupboards than human food. There's old movie posters and comics everywhere. The man clearly is invested in the schlock media of the time. He's clearly passionate about the business as he watches his stories getting all invested, eating tinned food out of the pan. It's not much, but it's a simple life.
This man is worth $500, and this man's going to collect.
The key to the Booth-Dalton dynamic is that while Rick lives in movie land where the only thing he has to worry about is if he's ever going to be a movie star, Cliff is a total realist. He knows his career is over at this point and he's perfectly fine with it. He enjoys driving Rick around and house-sitting in the Hollywood Hills. Man was a war hero who probably stumbled into stunt work, and as the work dried up due to the changing times, and his own actions, he didn't lose his positive attitude. As much as we love protagonists with drive and vigor, because we learn early on that without
Intention and obstacle.
you can't really have an engaging character worth rooting for. Now Cliff isn't completely without them their intentions or obstacles. Just look at the Spawn rant sequence for that. But I think a character like Cliff is someone many of us look up to for their ability to take life on the chin.
Not bad, Kato.
It's important to fight for what you want, what you need in your time on this confusing rock. But it's just as important to take life and all its punches with a hearty dose of humor and civility. Well, maybe not civility in Cliff's case. Now before I get to the denouement, let's look at... While Rick is off shooting the pilot for Lancer, starring alongside sexiest man alive Timothy Olyphant, oh baby, Booth finds himself back at Spawn Movie Ranch, a set from his past and maybe a time he would consider the golden era. Tarantino wants this to feel like the call to action we, as an audience, have been waiting for. Cliff, the lonesome cowboy riding into a derelict town, where suspicion runs rampant through his mind as the evil cult has taken over the town and put its mayor in danger. The sweet, sweet drama of it all. On some level you get the sense that Cliff hopes this too. Maybe after all this time he gets to experience some real action again, like he's found his own narrative. His intention is to speak to George, and his obstacle is the girls, who continually attempt to stop that from happening. The more they try to stop him, the more suspicious he gets. So when George turns out to be not dead, completely aware of the girls being there, and actually enjoying their company,
She loves me.
man may be delusional, but it's a heavy dose of reality that this ain't the 50s anymore, and action simply isn't gonna fall into his... If Tarantino can be considered a genre for a second, and the first 2 hours of this film be him subverting your expectations of said self-titled genre, then the final 20 minutes are pure reaffirmation of all his tropes. Now how does this relate to Booth and his character? Well, this was meant to be one last blowout for Rick and Cliff. As Rick plans to move out of LA with his new wife and start the twilight era of his career, well, this really was one last blowout. To us as an audience, instead of witnessing the tragic real-life murders of Sharon Tate and her friends, we get to see one of Dalton's pictures come to life, with Cliff taking the brunt of the action and Rick coming in for the money shot. Quentin teased us with the Bruce Lee fight with Spawn Ranch, and for a hot minute we probably thought Cliff was just gonna ride into the sunset, hazed up and not a care in the world. And then we get treated to him kicking the ever-loving shit out of all these vile bastards. It's Cliff finally getting the action he desired, and if you want to look at it this way, perhaps some retribution for killing his wife. Whether that was accidental or on purpose, I don't know. I honestly enjoy not knowing for sure. The man still needs his mystery after all. Just like I need to find out what hot sauce and celery in a Bloody Mary is like. So what have we learned from all this? Really, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a crash course in how to develop a character without the need for intention, obstacle, arcs, low points or high points. You get the idea. If the film ended with Rick and Cliff saying goodbye to each other, I would have been pretty happy with that. It was amazing to be around a cool, confident character like Cliff for as long as I was, whether he was chowing down on tin food in his trailer, driving through the streets of LA to the sounds of 60s radio, or just being a good friend to Rick.
Don't cry in front of the Mexicans.
He calls back to a time when you watch stuff because this person was in it. The sheer charisma alone was enticing enough to get your butt in the seat, and if you were treated to a quality picture on top of that, all the better. Cliff may be a journeyman, walking through life without much care, but as cheesy as it sounds, his friendship with Rick is really the highlight here. Rick is more than a brother, but less than a wife to Cliff. And one of the most satisfying callbacks I've seen in the final minutes of this tale sums that up perfectly.
Hey! You're a good friend, Cliff.
I tried.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I think Tarantino really caught magic in a bottle with this character, and I hope you share my enthusiasm about him. Whether you agree with me or not, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video if you did in fact like it, and maybe subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this one. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.